first got into playing the guitar, funnily enough, I remember the White Stripes were really big when I was about 12, and I remember listening to them. I was like, that's what I want to do. So it's kind of a bit embarrassing. Well, not embarrassing, just kind of funny, I suppose. And I've progressively gotten a bit more like the White Stripes, I think. Because I remember listening to, like, there's this one song called Ball and Biscuit that they have, which was on their big album, the one that had Seven Nation Army on it. And I remember it was like all this kind of blues soloing, and I remember thinking, God, that's if I could do that, I'd be the fucking coolest around. And I've slowly kind of geared my way towards blues soloing. I was given a guitar by my great uncle. He's like avant-garde composer, writes sort of serialist music, and his name's JEROME de BROMHEAD. And he gave me an electric guitar, this like Epiphone Les Paul, and it was like pretty good guitar to be given. And so I just kind of noodled around on that, still kind of being like, oh, I'm a bass player who plays guitar a little bit, and I'd noodle around kind of figuring out power chords and stuff like that. And I remember some of the first things I learned on the guitar were like Bob Dylan songs, and Bob Dylan songs. Remember I learned Girl from the North Country. Remember when I figured out how to play that, I was like, wow, this is insane. And so yeah, it was always just, I just took lessons with bass, and then guitar was something that I noodled about with on the side, and I didn't really want anybody to hear it. And I think that'll always characterize my musicianship. Be like, I'm not really a guitarist. I just kind of noodle around with it, and I'm a bassist really. I think that'll always be what it feels like. Chris
Yeah.
Kladowski. Yeah, well, Chris was the first person that ever took me on tour. First tour I ever went on. I was on MySpace. Kind of like, I think I heard his band on MySpace and I wrote to him. And he was real friendly and we just had like friendly kind of back and forth. And I put on a gig for Joseph Van Wism and James Blackshaw in Ireland. And Chris was friends with them. And so kind of just, again, it was all just sort of like stuff I heard on the internet and I was just real enthusiastic about, and so, yeah, just through that kind of being in touch. The openness of the approach that people have to traditional music, like the fact that you can just do a traditional song and it's not considered like, oh, it's not a cover, or it's not, or you know, it is, but it's just like this well of everything that you can dip into. And there's something really inspiring about that kind of that way of doing it, that it's not you know, you don't have to think of it as going, there isn't too much ego involved, there's not too much going, oh, is that ripping that off? It's like just the tradition, it's just the way you do it. And that's how you learn things, is through like listening to somebody else.
It is for you, my father dear, for biding so long in Spain. So cast off your very brown gown, you stand naked upon the stone, that I may know you by your strength, if you be a maiden or not. So she has cast off her very brown gown, she stood naked upon the stone.
Isn't there that thing of is it Willie O. Winsbury? That was it, that the one that like Andy Irvine or Johnny Moynihan or somebody learned the wrong song, and then they were accompanying Anne Briggs doing it, and they just did it with the other melody because he learned the wrong song by accident. Like she said to him, I'll learn this song, and he learned the wrong one. And so then they just, I remember hearing that story and loved that idea that they just kind of like just do it with a different melody and same lyrics but a different melody, and you've got a new song. But it's not a new song, it's just developing in its own way. it's definitely interesting, that thing of like that you can look at this stream of culture behind us, you know, like, and I'm fairly interested in old culture, at least recent old culture, in the grand trajectory of things, but that you can look at this and kind of go like, you can make so much sense out of it, but then think about the present, and to just that the present has so much mystery, doesn't it? It's got all this kind of like, what is how is this going to look in the future? This is going to be the past in the future, and what will it look like? And kind of, you can kind of guess at things, but you can't really see how it's going to go. There's something very interesting about that. Steve Gunn and John Trasinski and me have a group called Desert Heat, and the three of us, it was just like, me and Steve were on tour together, and we played together, and playing with another guitarist is just really just something very, like, I really like the sound of two guitarists together, and it's great just playing with somebody who, he kind of plays similar to me, but he does these things that I wouldn't think of doing, and I think I do things that he wouldn't think of doing. So then you get this kind of thing going together, and you're like, wow, that was a good idea, why didn't I have that idea? But not in a competitive way, just in a like, shit, like, that was cool what he did. And you're like, I better do something good. And just this nice, natural kind of like interplay between us. And then he plays with John Trasinski as well. And they've got a great kind of natural thing as well. So I think with all these things, like, if you're just playing with somebody, it just works or it doesn't work, that you kind of get each other. I did kind of find there is something about touring playing acoustic guitar only, especially if you're relying on like micing up the acoustic guitar, you know, like every day playing, not being able to be loud, playing in front of kind of maybe loud audiences can get kind of frustrating, and it can also kind of get a bit hard to get a bit Friday night or Saturday night with it. Hard to make fun music just playing acoustic guitar. I'm sure lots of people will disagree with me there, but I found it sometimes like a bit hard to get a sort of satisfying fun music out of the acoustic guitar, and so that in that sense I suppose it was a conscious decision, but it was also more just like wanted to play with other people just for the joy of playing with other people. There's just something that happens when 2 or more people play together that you just don't get when you play on your own. This kind of energy of people converging or whatever it is. Something I'm sure logic can't explain. So yeah, definitely I still love playing acoustic guitar. The past year or so as well, I've been playing a lot of acoustic guitar gigs and still working on it. Just playing with the band is something that I like to do as well. And it's kind of, they're nice. It's playing both is really good because they satisfy different things, I suppose. Dinner and dessert. Don't know which one's which though. Worrying about, are you being the person that you're supposed to be from whatever's given you this idea of what you're supposed to be. That is kind of what I mean about it stops you from just enjoying things and just being alive and doing stuff.